Welcome to Career and Leadership Real Talk, the no-nonsense guide for ambitious managers who want to have more impact and progress their career. I'm Pamela Langan, a job search coach and expert CV writer specialising in helping frustrated professionals land the jobs and pay rises they know they deserve.
And I'm Jacqui, a leadership and mindset coach specialising in helping newly promoted and new to role leaders to avoid the dickhead trap and lead with confidence. Between us, we've helped hundreds of leaders and managers to find new roles, take ownership of their careers, and handle the challenges that job searches and leadership responsibility inevitably bring. And now we're joining forces to share with you what we know has worked for our clients.
Hello and welcome to today's episode. Today, we are thinking about the year ahead and looking at what we are going to connect and commit to. And I think if you haven't already listened to the episode that we did at the end of last year on reflection, it would be really good at this point to stop this episode and go back to that one. Because if you start by reflecting on 2025, you'll put yourself in a better position to move forward with this year. So what we want to do really is we want to think about all of the good, the bad and the ugly, but without judgment from last year, and take the learnings and celebrate the wins. We're not going to get attached to it, but we are going to hold it loosely as a learning and a reminder of what contributed to the year it was, and then we can move forward. So today we are looking at the year ahead, and we do a lot of reflection and we do a lot of goal setting and planning stuff between us. But we thought this would be a really important one for our listeners so that you can think about the year ahead and really lean into what you are going to commit to make it your best year yet. So, as we always do, let's get straight into it. So, Jacqui, I'm going to come over to you and ask you to just give us a little bit more information, because this is a framework that you actually came up with. So the reflect, connect and commit. Obviously, we did reflect last time. So now we're on to connect and commit. Give us a little bit of an overview so our listeners know exactly what they need to be focusing on.
So, yeah, I came up with this a while ago, and it's something that I use with clients and use for myself. And I think for me, and we've spoken about this before, the traditional kind of goal setting and SMART targets just didn't work for me, didn't feel inspiring, didn't feel like something that I wanted to engage with. So the idea behind reflect, connect and commit is to start with that reflection, like you said, without the judgment, without the attachment, but then to really connect on more of an emotional level with what do you want for your future? What's important to you? What's some of the bigger picture stuff? But then it's great to have big dreams and to know what you want, but then the commit is, okay, and how are you going to translate that to action? So I think within the connect section, we've got the download of all the different questions that we would recommend that people consider, and that they're split into kind of chunks. So the first section within connect is thinking about your own values and priorities. And the way that I define this with clients is that values is what's important to you, and then priorities is what comes first of what's important to you. So what is most important? And there's a few questions within the download, but one that I think is a real key thing for our listeners to reflect on, and one that I'm going to ask you, is around the definition of career success. Because this evolves during the course of your career. It doesn't stay the same. And I think it's really important when you're thinking about what you want going forward to really be clear for yourself on what does career success mean? So, Pam, what does career success actually mean for you? And specifically, what does it mean for you right now?
Okay, so that's a really good question. And do you know what? This is something that I talk to my clients a lot about, because like you've just said, that it changes, it evolves, and people think when I get into that next job and I'm earning a particular salary, I'll have achieved success. But then they get into that job, they get stuck in, they start living to that salary, and then all of a sudden they hit that ceiling point and they start to feel like they're not as successful anymore, or, you know, what's next? And sometimes they've not planned that next thing out. So they can really get stuck almost in like the hamster wheel of the career and of life. And I suppose as I've gone through my career, there's elements of that where I've gone, okay, when I've worked with X amount of clients, I'll feel successful. When I've made X amount of impact, I'll feel successful. And you just do it because it's your job and you move through your career. And sometimes you don't actually realize how successful you are or that you've been until you take a moment to look back. And I think that's one of the things that we've done this year, isn't it? Like really reflect, because we talk about reflection and we do it a lot. That's one thing that we do a lot. We reflect and we think about moving forward and we plan and everything. But actually, when we both look back, when I look back, particularly on this year, the success for me has definitely been around the impact that I've made, the people that I've helped, the earning money, working with more and more clients. All of that is great. But the success part, what makes me feel successful, is the impact, is the feedback from people on how I've helped them, how I've improved their confidence, how I've helped them secure a role they didn't think they were going to be able to get. And especially for my more mature clients as well, it's been particularly tough. So for me, career success this year has been about showing people what is possible and helping them make that happen. And that, when I reflect on what has made me feel successful or what career success has meant for me, I would say that this year has probably been my most successful year. And that is largely based around the people that I have been able to help. So I suppose that would link back to the impact that I've made.
Yeah, I think it's such an interesting question to ask. And for me, my definition of career success really comes back to my own personal values, which is something that I never gave any thought to when I was in my own kind of main career phase before I was self-employed. I used to feel like very much it was chase the next position, chase the status, chase the salary. And for me now, a big part of my definition of success is that it has to include fun. So I want financial success, I want security, stability, but I also really want to have work that feels engaging, that feels energizing, that feels fun to do. And a lot of that comes similarly with I want to work with people that I really enjoy working with. I've worked with some incredible people this year, and a lot of those are ongoing relationships and will continue. And so for me, I think it's been a real kind of real period of realization, probably over a period of years, of I would rather sacrifice an element of financial success and maintain that element of fun and real sense of fulfillment in what I do. And that doesn't mean that I can afford to just go, woohoo, it doesn't matter at all financially, far from it. But it's about, for me, finding that real balance. And I think asking yourself that question and knowing that you want both is really key. And there can be an assumption that you can only have one or the other, or that you can only get certain criteria, whatever those things might be for you. So this connection is about just saying, actually, what would success really look like for me? What would make me feel successful? And I think that's such a crucial question to know how will I measure when I do feel successful, and really give yourself permission to know what your definition is and to stick by that, and for that not to be something that stays the same just because you've always assumed that it's that way. So from values and priorities, then the next section is more of and less of. So this is about really considering what might you want more of in 2026 and beyond, and what might you want less of. And this tends to be perhaps a little bit easier of a reflection because it's easier to consider in comparison to how things have been. What do I want to be the same? What do I want to be different? And a crucial question within this section is about what really tapping into what energizes you. So this is considering what is there that feels good, that lights you up, that gives you energy, versus what is there that maybe drains you or depletes you or feels like hard work. So you've already touched on the importance of impact. What else is there for you that really energizes you? And in fact, actually, I'm going to change that question slightly. I'm going to ask you a different question, which is who energizes you?
Oh, that's a really good question because now I'm thinking, who does energize me? But I suppose there's probably a few different answers to that. And obviously, working with some great people this year or last year or the last few years, actually, if I think about it, has actually really energized me and made me want to push forward with the business and all of that side of it. And that's been great. But I think in terms of energizing me and really motivating me, what I realized is that I actually like to get out of my office and meet people in real life. So some of the events that I attended in 2025 really energized me, and it was great actually speaking to a whole range of different people and not going there with any agenda, just literally going to, we always say, don't we, when it comes to networking, be interested, not interesting. So I just went to find out about people. What are they working on? What are they doing? And it was so lovely just to have those conversations. And I felt that really energized me. So if anybody does know of any great events that are happening in 2026, then do drop me a message and let me know, because I'm looking for events that I can go to this year that can have the same effect.
I love that. It's such an interesting realization, I think, to be, oh, actually, when I do this, I feel this way. And it's paying attention to that feeling and that sensation. And if I ask myself that question of who energizes me, I think one of the things that I've realized this year is that I really gain energy from being around good people who are further on than I am. I love to be inspired and to see people who have got further, people who have done things that I may be aspiring to do, and people who just have that kind of moral compass and share that sense of values and integrity that is really important to me. And I am really fortunate to have a number of those people in my life. And so for me, what I am mindful of as I look ahead is knowing that I want more time with those people, more opportunity to be around them, like you, to be with people in person, to be in those environments where I can just suck it up and savor it. Not necessarily the structure, and events probably less so for me. I do enjoy them when I go to them, but I feel like you are further ahead than me in terms of that aspiration of being at events, whereas I still find those quite hard work. But certainly the one-to-one connection for me and being around those people who really are further ahead in certain aspects, that definitely is energizing, and I want more of that in the year coming. So our next section and our final section within the Connect is go big or go home. And this is really off the back of one thing that I observe with clients is that when you work in a corporate environment, you tend to be very conditioned that goals have to be smart. They have to be realistic. You have to have a time frame. You have to know how to make a plan to be able to achieve them. But those kinds of goals are not, on a personal level, certainly for me, particularly inspiring, because if you already know how to do it, then if you're ambitious, you're probably already on the way there. So this is really about saying, rather than what do I feel is a next step and how am I going to go about it, this is about really connecting with that bigger vision, that longer term piece, almost push yourself to think about something where there's no way that could happen, but it would be amazing if it did, which is quite a different approach, isn't it, Pam, compared to how people are normally used to trying to plan their career.
Yeah, I think smart goals are just drummed into us, aren't they? From the start of our career, they come up in every kind of one-to-one and all of that kind of stuff. So I think we've always said, haven't we, we don't like smart goals. I think that's probably one of the first things that we connected on, isn't it? But I do think goal setting is probably one of the most important ways to move your career forward. So I definitely think that you've got to set goals, like you've got to, and using your framework, is really useful because it allows you to think through it and connect with it without having to go through all that formal process of setting a smart goal. And you just do it, you get to the end of it and you just think, oh, and you file it away. And then you're like, okay, I'm done with the goal setting. Whereas your way actually allows you to connect with it, feel it, move forward with it. So I'm going to ask you a question from our final section and let's see what you come up with for this one. But it's quite a big question as well. So if you knew that you could achieve whatever you wanted, what would you choose?
Wow. It is a big question, but to be honest, I feel like this is actually a lot easier to answer. So if I think about this time last year, I was in Australia for Christmas and New Year, and I did a lot at that point of kind of connecting and thinking about what I wanted. And so I feel like I'm almost a year into probably having the same or similar vision to answer that question. So for me, one of the things that I know that I would love is almost to be like the next Simon Sinek, the kind of somebody who can have an impact in loads of ways that he doesn't know who's watching his videos or what they're taking from them. But what I love is that he really simplifies things. And for me, that ability to do more speaking, to write, I want to write a book this year and have that published. I definitely feel like that's where I want to be. And I feel like it would just be amazing if my life was traveling around the world, speaking at conferences, writing books, going on like book launch tours. That when I think about that question, that's the kind of vision that I have in my head is just meeting people, having stuff out there and being invited to all of those types of things to speak, to write. Yeah, that's where my head takes me in answer to that question.
Wow, that is just the dream, isn't it? Like, I absolutely love that. And I suppose that links into the final part, which is commit, isn't it? Because all of that is amazing. And I absolutely know you are going to achieve all of that. But I suppose with everyone and anybody that is listening, once you've connected with what you want to achieve, it's like, what are you going to do actually to get that emotion? Because it just remains a dream if you don't take any action. So I think in the final part where we go, let's commit, what are we going to do to actually make this happen? So I'm going to ask you another question from the commit section, and it's what action will you take in January that would signal to yourself that you're serious about achieving all of that?
And it's a great question. So I have already, in terms of writing a book, I've already, during the course of this year, been backwards and forwards several times with trying to scope an outline. And so I'm now at the point where my January action is to start writing, to actually put some words on a page that would be potentially the first chapter. And I think this is the thing that I want to just emphasize. Who knows whether I'll get a publishing deal? Who knows whether I will get opportunity to go and speak about a leading in your first 90 days? But I these are things that are within my control. I can start to scope it out. I can do more research. I can start to put words on a page. And if I do those things without attachment to, is it really going to create this dream lifestyle? The important thing for me is I can also enjoy the process. And I think this is where it feels so different than if I could set myself a smart goal for I will have written this many words by this stage. And I just feel like so turned off by that. It's just not remotely exciting or inspiring anymore. Whereas if I'm doing this in pursuit of that dream, then for me, what it does is gives me a bit more of that inner motivation to go, no, I am going to commit to this. It's going to feel hard. I'm going to look at words that I've written and think, what the hell was I talking about? But for me, that's my January action is I want words on a page. I want a chapter written that will not necessarily be a finished article or something that will go into a book, but will help me to really embed I am doing this, I'm committing to it, and I'm committing to myself.
I absolutely love that. And I have also committed to your book, and I've also already chosen my outfit for your book launch event because I know that it is going to happen in 2026. So I've already committed to it. So you've now got to doubly commit to it and make it happen. So I think this episode, particularly if people are listening to it and thinking this is not something that I usually do, this is not the way I usually set goals, I would definitely go back and listen to it again and go back and listen to the Reflect episode that we did last year because it will help you to frame everything that you want to achieve and allow you to commit to the process as well, even if it's a small step, even if it's just one tiny thing that you can do to get the ball rolling. That is all you need to do. You don't need to tackle the whole thing. You just need to take one small action that means that you're committing to that process and you're going to start moving it forward. If you're thinking that this is something that you do need support with for next year, or you'd like to get the year off to a really good start and you think that coaching might support that, then get in touch with us and we'll be able to share all of the options on how you can work with us. And let us know how you get on and let us know what you're committing to for 2026 because we absolutely love getting your messages. We love hearing from you. And we'd absolutely love to hear what you're committing to. And we might even message at the end of the year to see if you achieve that. So let us know. And don't forget, you can download the cheat sheet and all of our other resources using the link in the show notes.